All right, today we're going to move a little forward on the community front. By this point, you're going to have three niches that are structured in the I build X for Y format that I have become somewhat famous for using. The next is you will have several communities that have accepted you, others which may still be pending. I know some communities typically take maybe a day or more for turnaround time. So if they haven't all accepted you, that's okay. They don't all need to accept you by now. What I'm going to have us do over the course of the next hour or so is we're going to create a post calendar. A post calendar is a series of outlines that will greatly increase the speed at which we produce content for each of these communities. And I consider this key, quite pivotal to this approach. The reason why is because over the next month, we're going to be making 15 posts. Since we're posting in 3 communities, if you think about it logically, that's 15 divided by 3. We have 5 posts per community over the next 26 days. On average, that's 1 post every 5 days or so. The question is, what does a post look like? And how do we do it? That is what we're going to be covering today. The first is how to identify problems. The key here rests upon your ability to solve real and present business needs for your target audience. Our posts are going to give value to people while also simultaneously solving things that members in the community are suffering from. To do this, you obviously need to learn what those problems are. And the best way to do that is by spending time in the community, reading through as many old posts as possible, and then observing some of the discussions that are taking place. I have some questions to guide your research here, like what are people talking about? What problems are they facing? What solutions do they tend to gravitate to? And what language do they even use when discussing these issues, like acronyms or key phrases, etc.? This is very important because you don't want to be seen as an outsider to the group when you post. You don't want to be seen as somebody just shilling a product or service. You want to be seen as somebody that understands the community and that is in the exact same position as most of the business owners there. By immersing yourself in this community, you're going to pick up on common themes and problems that your target audience is facing. And if you don't do this, your posts, as I mentioned, will come across as tone deaf and probably out of touch with the community's needs. Now, here's some common business problems. I bring these up because you're going to have problems that are the same from industry to industry. You can consider these universal problems, and a lot of problems that your community is going to be facing are going to be flavors of what I'm about to mention. So learning what these business problems are will help you get 90% of the way there, and they're going to help you frame your messages in a way that's relevant to a very wide audience. Here is a quick master list. The first is no or very minimal lead generation. The second is founder overwhelm. The third is complicated, chaotic project management. The fourth is a very poor sales process. The fifth, very common, is all of their new business comes from referrals. The sixth is that they have no offer. The seventh is that they have unclear messaging, both on their website, on their emails, on their ads, and everything else. The eighth is that they have messy or expensive operations. And then the ninth is inefficient software. They might have several generations outdated CRMs, that sort of thing. The last is poor client retention. Now, most of the time, you'll find the problems that your target audience is facing is going to fall into one or more of these categories. What I would do is right now, I would go back through that community and I would, whatever community you want to start with, just pick one of the 3. And I'd scroll all the way from the top for at least 10 or 15 minutes, read every single post that's made and try and identify which of these problems their problems tend to come into. From there, it'll be very easy for you to do this next step, which is to create a bunch of posts. Now, in terms of post structure, what are your posts actually going to look like? Well, these are organic communities, meaning that your content, in order to perform well, needs to look and feel organic too. It's not a cold ad. It's not a marketing message. It should feel like you are talking to your friend or maybe chatting somebody up at the bar. That doesn't mean that you need to write every post from scratch. It doesn't mean it needs to be 100% customized. Since we're going to be posting in 3 different communities, what we can do is just copy and paste the same approach 3 times, swapping out some details. And this is a higher leverage way to do it. All you need to do is duplicate this spreadsheet to start. So I just opened this over here. I'm going to zoom out. And you'll see what this is. This is very similar to my niche selector spreadsheet. If you've taken a look at this, we are first going to make a copy of this spreadsheet by going to File and then clicking Make a Copy. Once you've done that, this community post calendar will help you prepare your community post by letting you take advantage of templating. What is a good post template? It needs to be short, built for a non-technical audience, include a step-by-step guide, and has no selling. The way to use this document is you need to take this core document, this core template rather, in A6. So A, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, this one right over here. Then I want you to write 4 variations of these and put this through A7 to 11. So now you have 5 total templates. Assuming that you've written some variations of this, what I mean by variations is a quick example would be something like this. you just very quickly change some of the copy to reflect your new template. Right? And in that way, it's going to be a little bit different every single time. And then once you're done with all of these templates, all you have to do is copy and paste it into community A, community B, community C. These are just placeholders for the actual communities that you joined, and then actually solve it. Download or sign up to Apify, use Facebook Posts Scraper to get a list of posts, whatever. The point I'm making is this is where you would actually solve the problem. And you would do that from C6 to 11, D6 to 11, and B6 to 11 rather. So B, C, and D. Okay, it's clear. This is a very straight to the point approach. These templates really cut all the fluff. And yeah, they basically just look like this. Hi all, I've been struggling with whatever problem, and I know a lot of people here have been too. I spent some time working through it last week, and here's a simple way I solved it for less than $10 a month. Step 1, step 2, step 3. If anything's unclear, just let me know. Hope this helps. The point is you're building goodwill in the community. You're building a ton of value without asking for anything in return. You're not making any sort of pitch, nor are you linking to anything in the post. All you're doing is just building trust. And by building trust, that trust will eventually enable you to start making asks later on if you need to, without it seeming kind of weird or needy. I hope that this helps. What I would do in your case is once you've done this for all 5 posts, just copy those 3 times like I mentioned earlier. Once you have your 15 post outlines ready to be filled in with real actionable problem solving, you can either deal with, you can create and answer all of those right now if you wanted to just plug and play, or on the next days where you're actually going to be posting the community post, you can just do the actual work of solving the problem then. That way is a little bit more preferable for me personally, because that way you drip your work out over time rather than make this like a 10 or 15 hour task. But I am going to leave it up to you on this one. Do whatever you need to in order to make this community post calendar high quality. And then just save this doc because you're going to be using it every day for the next week. We're going to be posting a lot of community entries over the course of the next 7 days or so.